You're listening to Backlog Banter with your host, SerialK86.
Hello everyone, this is SerialK and welcome to the first episode of our, it'll be titled later, you'll see it somewhere. So yeah, this is the pilot for the first episode of this podcast, which we'll talk about our video game backlogs. Me, SerialK, your host, and a special guest here. Say hello to everyone.
Greetings everyone, and yes indeed, I am Dark, and I am a YouTube... Well, I am just like him, I am a YouTube pooper, and but aside from that, and during my free time, I like to play video games, and appreciate old technology. So yeah, that's pretty much me.
Yeah, I know. You like messing around with old technology and stuff like that, CRT TVs and Sega Genesis, retro consoles.
Yeah,
I've seen this setup before. Looks neat. Is it still the same?
yeah.
Is your setup? Is it still the same?
Well, I mean, since I pretty much moved home from my school, it's kinda not exactly the same. Well, for starters, my desktop computer is still at school, so I'm pretty much using a laptop for most of my work, and I only have like two consoles with me home, mainly my Genesis and my Saturn.
Oh, your Saturn and your Genesis. Cool. So, what have you been playing recently from your backlog?
Well, not like something I played recently, but something I've played but haven't beaten yet, and that is Dishonored 1 and 2. Now, I'm kind of condensing that to one game because these two games are pretty similar to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting off with Dishonored 1, it's a game developed by Arcane Studios and was released in 2012. It's a game that revolves around Carvo, who's a guard who works at Dunwall. Then one day, he was framed for murder, and so he has been imprisoned. But thanks to a friend of his, he's been freed and has been giving tools to become an assassin. And so he pretty much goes around the Dunwall to assassinate other soldiers and to kill off the captains. And that's pretty much what the game is about. Now, so the game is a first-person stealth. The game is a first-person stealth game, which pretty much revolves around either sneaking past everyone without being detected, or as if you wish, you could just engage in. You can just pretty much kill everyone either silently, or just kill them, or just attack them in open area.
I believe it's kind of similar to another game. What is it called? Thief, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't played Thief, but yeah, I mean, it's also a first-person stealth game.
Yeah, but I think it's more of more focused on sneaking than killing. Killing combat is mostly discouraged, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, in Dishonored, though, you can just kind of do what you want. I mean, you may get rewarded for not being detected, for just pretty much ignoring everyone while being sneaky. But I mean, hey, you can still do whatever you want. And one thing I like, so there's quite a bit I like about the game. One thing I like is that the levels are kind of linear, but they're not so linear that they're not not so linear that you're pretty much going in a straight line with some obstacles. It's linear in a way where you can still pretty much explore the area for nooks and crannies as you move along. And another thing I like is the combat, and for a first person, it's the melee combat is, I guess, wouldn't say deep, but it is a little. There's a little more to it than just pressing the attack button. You can also block, and you can also parry if you press the block or parry button at the right time, similar to something like Dark Souls, only that it's much less hard than that. And you can of course counter the attacks, and you also have a range. You also have a wide range of abilities, and also a small selection of ranged weapons that you can attack your enemies with. So there's definitely quite a lot of choices when it comes to killing off the opponent. The only real negative I can think of about the game is that while I appreciate the game's style, which is kind of realistic but still kind of stylized, the graphics I wouldn't say the graphics have held up gracefully, at least not in 2020. I mean, the game was released in 2012 after all, on the 360 and PS3, but textures are kind of blurry. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely shows that it was a product of its time. I mean, that's kind of the only thing I can pick on though. Otherwise, the game's pretty good. So, and then we get to Dishonored 2, and there's honestly not much to say about Dishonored 2. It's what I said about Dishonored 1 pretty much applies to Dishonored 2. So, which of course includes the positives, though. The story is pretty different. I don't quite remember what it was about, but it's definitely not the same as the first Dishonored. At least not in plot, but I mean maybe in structure. Yeah, I mean I don't remember. but so though there are some new additions to Dishonored 2, mainly because there's a new character you can play as in the game, who's known as which is Corvo's daughter, and she has her own set of abilities and weapons the player can play around with. So that pretty much gives the player the choice of two characters who can play through the same campaign, which at least gives the game a little bit more replayability.
Is it like a classic Resident Evil, where you can only play as one character at a time, and each one had their own scenario, or you can switch between them?
I don't think you can switch between them.
Oh.
But I mean, as I said, their abilities are at least they're pretty different characters, so it shouldn't feel like it's pointless to. It shouldn't feel like it's pointless to play as another character in the game, though.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Well, as for the negatives, if you're looking for like if you were expecting Dishonored 2 to be if you're expecting Dishonored 2 to be pretty much a completely new game from the first game, I think you would probably be a little disappointed. But if you're just looking for more Dishonored, then it should still be just fine. Another kind of bad thing about the game, I mean, I haven't experienced it myself as I haven't played the game on PC yet, though I have the game on GOG, along with the first one and the third one, which is a standalone expansion. The third one I haven't touched at all yet, but either way, the optimization to the game on PC is just not good at all. I heard that even on a powerful rig, the game just doesn't run well. So I mean, that's pretty much what I have to say. All in all, Dishonored 1 and 2 while I haven't beaten those two games, I still enjoy what I have played of these so far, and I'm definitely looking forward to playing them again one day.
Gotcha. So, I think when it comes to gameplay of the second Dishonored, it's pretty much more of the same, right?
Yeah, basically.
So I guess there's a remaster for the first game for the current consoles, right?
You're right, and it's well, it's definitely worth checking out if you only. Yeah, I mean, if you only have. If you only have a PS4 or an Xbox One, it's definitely worth checking out.
Gotcha.
And of course, Dishonored 2 and the standalone expansion are, of course, on PS4, Xbox One, and PC as well.
Alright.
So, yeah,
Cool.
you can pretty much have all three games on the same machine.
Cool. I might give this series a try one day.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure you won't be disappointed.
Cool. So, that's... Hello? Okay. So that's about it for what you've been playing for your backlog recently. Okay, and...
Yeah.
As for me, I've been playing... well, yes, it's from my backlog, but this is the first time I'm playing it. I've been playing Yakuza 0 on the PS4. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the game was originally released on PS3 in Japan, only in Japan, and on PS4 as well. But on PS4, it was released on Japan and in North America and pretty much everywhere else. If I'm not mistaken, this game was released in 2015, and in Japan, and in worldwide it was released on 2017, and on Microsoft it was released just a couple months ago. I mean, late February, August 1st, 2018 on PC. It was released in 2015. That was the 10th anniversary of the series, because the first game was released in 2005. And pretty much the game from the first one up until Yakuza 6, pretty much action-adventure games. You pretty much, when the first few games were released, Sega of America tried to promote this game as as Japanese Grand Theft Auto, which is not an accurate description. Yeah, because the game is set in an open district, but not an open world. Not an entire city.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So for Yakuza 0, pretty much it's a prequel. It's set in late 1988, and you play as two characters. The first one is Kazuma Kiryu. That's the series protagonist from 1 all the way to 6, and he's pretty much was pretty much involved in collecting loans from some random guy. And later, that guy who he took the money from him, he was owing some loan shark. Later, he was found dead, and so and Kiryu didn't kill him, So, and that put him and the family he's working for, the Dojima family, in trouble. So he has to go on a quest to prove his innocence, and the fact that the person that was killed was also on a land called the Empty Lots. It's like a small piece of land, but it happens to be very important for the Dojima family, who they're trying to get so they can start a project to build a tower in the middle of the district that the game is set in, Kamurocho.
Okay.
Yeah, Kamurocho is pretty much based on the real life red light district in Tokyo, Japan. It's not the real thing, but it's pretty similar. So, and many of the events of the game is set in that district. But since this is set in 1988, so it's a prequel, so it's not exactly the same. So Kamurocho is like a giant tower in the middle. It doesn't exist in this one because it haven't been built yet. So for Kiryu, he's trying, to prove he's innocent, that he didn't kill anyone. And it's also you play as another character, Goro Majima. He was part of another family, the Shimono family, and he disobeyed one of the top lieutenants in the family. So he was punished and he was kicked out of the family. But he got a chance to return back, as he was ordered to kill someone, and he can return back to the family. But then it turns out that that person was an innocent blind little girl. So he had.
Okay.
So he's hesitant to kill her, and later he found out that this girl is actually wanted by some Yakuza families. So.
Oh shit.
So he has to prove. So not only has to protect her, but he also has to know why there are Yakuza families after her. And there's a lot of twists and turns. You have to find out where both the stories are interconnected. I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm gonna spoil it, but it gets crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. So so the game itself, like I said, it's an action adventure. It's set in two regions. The first one is Kamurocho. That's where you play as Kiryu, and basically it's a giant district. It's a huge district where you can enter shops, have some buy some food from restaurants. Same in the other area. Sotambori, that's the second district that you play in. That one is set in Osaka. This is where you play as Goro Majima.
Okay.
Yeah, you pretty much do also the same stuff. You can go to restaurants, you can play mini games, and mini games like darts and pool, and let's see what else. And also karaoke with both characters. If you're familiar with rhythm games, that's pretty much it when you play karaoke. It's pretty much a rhythm game.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we have darts and oh yeah, and then both districts, there's also Sega arcades. And since this game is set in the late '80s, you get to play some Sega classics. Like Outrun.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, you can play games like Outrun and what is it? Space Harrier. So you get to play as Outrun, Space Harrier, and later you can get to unlock two more games like Fantasy Zone and Super Hang-On.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, hey, I'm at least glad the Yakuza series kind of remember what Sega used to make.
Yeah. When it comes to recent Sega games like Bayonetta and the Yakuza series, there's always references to classic Sega games, and not just Sonic.
Yeah.
Not just Sonic.
Yeah, true. I don't think Sonic has. Sonic, which is kind of Sega's cash cow by this point, hasn't really referenced another Sega series, at least since Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, with some of the playable Sega characters and like the Sega Boulevard, or unless if you count the Sonic and All Stars Racing games at least.
Yeah. So going back to the gameplay, aside from mini games and restaurant, you also sometimes get what is called random encounters, where the gameplay style switched to a beat 'em up. Now, each character has its own fighting style. As a matter of fact, for Yakuza 0, you can switch between 3 styles for each character. And sometimes you get random encounters with some street thugs and some angry Yakuza. We get to fight them using combat. You can use your fists. You can if you can, you can buy melee weapons they can use against, so you can beat them. And also, unique to the series, there's something called the heat gauge. It's right under your health gauge. If you feel it, you can do what is called heat actions. A heat action is like a special move, depending on what position your enemy is. Maybe if he's laying down or if he's scared, you can press the heat action button. And on the PS4 and the PlayStation version, it's the triangle button. You get an icon. You get an icon, and if you press it, the protagonist does your character does a special action. That gives more damage to your foe, to your opponent. So maybe like stump his face if he's on the ground, or smash his face into a wall if he's next to a wall, or something like that. You can also do some heat action with some of the melee weapons that you have. Some of them are even some of them are not some of them have to be unlocked, because here's another thing about the game. It has some RPG elements when it comes to combat. Because you have this you have your abilities, which you can upgrade by using your money. In this game at least.
Okay.
Yeah, in this game at least, the money you get, you can use it to unlock new abilities, like expand your health bar, or unlock new unlock new heat actions, or a new move, and so on. The more powerful the ability is, the more expensive, the more you have to spend more money on it. But considering this game is set in the late 80s, and if I'm not mistaken, the late 80s in real life Japan was a period known as the Great Bubble. The economy was booming. People were making a lot of cash, and that's pretty much what you do with the two protagonists in this game. You have side activities that each one that are unique to each character. For Kazuma Kiryu, you get to do real estate. You buy you buy properties. You collect cash from them when you invest in them, and the more properties you buy, that you manage, the more money you get. The more you improve them, the more money you get, and you can use an either unlocking new abilities for your character and for Kiryu, and and stuff like that. As for Majima, he has his own side activity, his own business. That's cabaret club managing. Basically, you manage a cabaret club that has the hostesses. The hostesses pretty much entertain male guests, with drinks and talking, a lot of stuff like that. And your job is to manage it in a certain time. There are 6 seats. And you have to see which seat that needs service, or maybe time expansion, or maybe stuff like that. It's really fun. It sounds boring, and but when you get into it, it really gets exciting. It shouldn't, but it's when you invest your time into it, it kind of gets a little addicting. Yeah. And there's also both of these businesses have their own side story. And speaking of side stories, that's something that the series is known at. Aside from the main missions, they have something called sub-stories. Sub-stories are basically side quests that you unlock when you roam around in the world in Yakuza.
That's cool.
Yeah, and what do you do exactly? Oh yeah. And many of them, when you unlock them, when you complete them, sometimes you get an item, you know, an important item that you equip. And sometimes you get items that helps you a lot when making more money, stuff like that. So it's definitely encouraged to play as many side stories, sub stories as you can, because it helps you a lot in your businesses and stuff like that.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, that's pretty much what I like about this game. What I like really about this game is like the combat. The combat is really fun. Especially when you switch between styles. Because let's see, Kiryu has 3 styles: the brawler, which is pretty much his default one; rush, which is pretty much focused on speed. You can't hold weapons. You can't hold weapons in that. You can't hold weapons in that style, but you can do quick. You can, dash and dodge attacks quickly, and you do quick jabs and punches, moves. So it's really satisfying. And then there's the third style for him that's called the beast. It's kind of like brawler, but it's slower, and you can do more slower but more brutal attacks. And where it's encouraged that you use melee weapons when you use that style.
Mm-hmm.
That's for Kiryu. As for Majima, he has 3 styles. There's the thug style, which is kind of similar to Kiryu's brawler style. And there's the second style called Slugger, where he basically uses a baseball bat. It's slow, but it's also powerful. Slow but powerful. And then there's this third style, which is called Breaker. Breaker is pretty much a quick fighting style that is inspired by hip hop dancing.
Cool.
Yeah, you do quick moves and flips and stuff like that. It can get a little chaotic sometimes. But it's fun sometimes. Personally, my favorite style for Kiryu is either rush. It depends on who I'm fighting, which situation is. But for Kiryu, I usually go with brawler or rush. As for Majima, I either go with slugger or. As for Majima, I either go with slugger or with thug. And you can switch between these styles with the press of a button. Well, if I'm not mistaken, you use the directional buttons to switch between them. So you don't have to pause the game and switch styles. No, you don't have to do that. And and you can also switch to a melee weapon that you've already equipped. You have already equipped in the pause menu.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, if you like brawlers, if you like brawlers 3D beat 'em ups, Yakuza's actually quite fun when it comes to that department. As for the story, I've already explained it, briefly, but it really goes into twists and turns. It's really some interesting Japanese crime drama. If you like that kind of stuff. If you like Japanese sets and stuff, you're gonna love this game. Voice acting is top notch. Everyone is great in that game. You're gonna love it. As for graphics, the game was released on originally released in 2015 for the PS3, but it was also released for the PS4. So for some of the environments and some of the objects, it's kind of dated, but for character models, for the most part, they look great. Like, they really, really look great.
Yeah, well,
maybe not as great as Metal Gear Solid 5 and the Fox engine, but it's close. And best thing about the PS4, all the versions except the PS3 version, is that They run at 60 FPS. It rarely goes below that. Like I encountered a couple of moments where I got a frame drops, but for the most part it's solid 60.
No, I mean, with the summary, you certainly tempted me to buy the game on PC.
Yeah. The game is really recently released on PC, so you can't go wrong with that version. Although,
Yeah.
but it's also available on Xbox One and PS4. And let's see, what else is there? Oh yeah, the soundtrack. Yeah, the soundtrack is basically some cool mixture between electronica and rock, but it's really some headbanging stuff, really pumping. The series, if I'm not mistaken, has always been known, with fantastic soundtracks since the first game. So it's really cool stuff. You might want to check maybe this soundtrack later on. And best thing about it is that when you encounter people in normal encounters, the soundtrack dynamically changes depending on what fighting style you're switching to. So for like Majima, when he switches to Slugger, the style where he uses a baseball bat, it's different than when he goes for the breaker style, the one with hip hop moves, and stuff like that. And
that's cool.
Yeah. And let's see, if there's anything I don't like about the game is I'm pretty sure Angry Joe brought it up, but in some instances, maybe it's because they have a limited budget or something like that, but sometimes I think this is mostly sub-story. Is that the conversation, the dialogue is just written. There's no voice acting for these sub-stories. It's a little annoying, but it's nothing that puts you off or anything like that.
I guess I wouldn't be bothered by it. I mean, I have played some games before where sometimes it has voice acting and then sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. That's more common with the JRPGs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I play Persona 5, and the only parts, at least, that have fully voiced dialogues, I think are more important scenes, or yeah, that's pretty much when their peers, voice acted dialogues.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with JRPGs, this won't bother you that much. But for anyone else, maybe it'll bother them a little bit. Also, another thing, this game has a lot of invisible walls. Look, I know this is not a Grand Theft Auto, but sometimes there's areas where you think you can go there, but you can't. I find that a little annoying. Like, I know it's not an open world, but it annoys me when there's an area that I can't go into. Another thing, and I don't think that's the developer's fault really, but it's more of a nitpick. But considering the game is set in the late 80s, I was expecting some city pops, some real life city pop music to be in there. Like, I expected some Plastic Love and something like that.
Oh yeah.
That would have been perfect for the game. But unfortunately, they don't have any. Because if I'm not mistaken, record companies in Japan are a lot more protective about copyright than anywhere else. But the original songs you hear in the game, they are mostly inspired by 80s music, and they're actually kind of cool. You've heard it, Friday Night, Queen of Passion. Yeah. They're cool games. They're cool songs. Like I said, I would have probably preferred if there was real life city pop music, but these songs, they're good in their own right. Oh, speaking of songs like Friday Night and stuff like that, I forgot to mention another mini game, disco dancing. Because since this game is set in the 80s, disco scene was actually big in Japan during the 80s. So there was dancing to some upbeat city pop and some Euro beats. And so there's also a game that's kind of similar to the karaoke, but it's the disco dancing. Pretty much you move you move an icon on a board and press the face buttons depending on what one appears, like a triangle, circle, stuff like that, to the beat of the song. And each song has 3 difficulties: easy, medium, and hard. And sometimes there's a meter called the the fever meter. If you fill it, you can do what is called a fever action. We press in a perfect time 4 directional buttons. If you press them right, you get a higher score. And there's in the sub-story, and there are sub-stories that involves disco dancing, where you compete against other characters. And they can get hard later on. There's this character that took me like a week until I managed to beat. But yeah, you need to get good in this game. If you especially when you're about to play sub-story missions that involve disco dancing. And let's see what else. So if there's anything that says, if my only problem with this game, like I said, is invisible walls and and the nitpick about city pop and whatever. And if I have to recommend this game, I'd say definitely go with this one. If you're new especially if you're new to the Yakuza series, Zero is a perfect starting point for anyone who wants to get into this series. Some say Kiwami, which is a remake of the first game. It doesn't hurt if you go with that as well, but many agrees that Zero is the perfect starting point for newcomers to the series. You know, I've played the I played the original Yakuza back in 2005, and then I played Yakuza 2 back in 2006 or 7. But after that, I stopped playing the series, and I wanted to get back to the series, and so I've decided to go with Zero, and I do not regret it one bit. It's great.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So like I said, if you're new to the series, you can't go wrong with Yakuza 0. This game has a lot to do, and I'm not talking just story missions, like side activities. Like I said, you got you got real estate, you got cabaret club management, you got mini games that you play, like arcade classics like Outrun, like Space Harrier. You got other side activities like playing bowling, like playing darts, like what else is there? Disco dancing, karaoke. There's a lot you can put into this game. There's a lot to do in this game. And like I said, the sub-stories, some of the sub-stories are actually heartwarming. Some of them are really, has cool stories. There are side stories, but some of them actually, can be dramatic or funny. Oh, this game has a lot of funny moments, especially when it comes to sub-stories. You're gonna love it. Like there's this one about I don't know if you've heard about it, it's called How You Train Your Dominatrix. It's funny as hell. It's involved a Kiryu trying to tell Dominatrix how to be a dominatrix. It's hilarious. It's funny. I'm not gonna spoil more of it, but when you see it, you're gonna love it. It's hilarious. Yeah, there are other side activities that I didn't mention, but I don't want to ramble too much. But yeah, I haven't finished. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm almost done. I put like about 150 hours into this game, and I've been playing it for like and I've been playing it for like roughly 3 months now. I'm at chapter 14. If I'm not mistaken, this game has 17 or 16 chapters. So I'm almost done.
Wow. Well, that was a lot to say about the game, I must say.
Yeah, I didn't expect I'll be talking like this. Be rambling all that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, the game is on PS4, recently released on Xbox One, and on PC. So you got 3 different platforms you can choose from. And like I said, Zero is the perfect starting point for anyone who wants to get into this series. Definitely recommend it.
Well, I should definitely buy the game one day and check it out then.
Oh, definitely. You will not regret it. Trust me.
Well, I'll take your word for it then.
Cool. So I guess that's it for our first episode for this podcast. Before we go, let us know where we can find you.
You can check me out on YouTube. Well, it's of course DarkSparkish. That's pretty much that's pretty much the first place I got my username actually. But you can also find me on Twitter.com, and which is at DarkSparkish again, and I'm pretty much active there every day. Maybe not tweeting all the time, but I'm definitely retweeting whenever I find something, and I'm pretty much log in on the site every day. So don't be afraid to follow me there.
I believe you also have a Twitch account.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, I also have a Twitch account. So I mean, I don't live stream all the time, but I do live stream at times. So you should definitely check it out too.
Cool. I need to check it. I need to check it out too, because I believe you play some classic games every once in a while.
Yeah. I mean,
And also,
there's more classic than modern, to be honest.
I believe recently you've been playing Doom Eternal.
Yeah, I have been streaming Doom Eternal. I mean, only problem is that connection. I mean, my streams aren't okay. I guess I shouldn't undersell myself here.
Alright.
No, but either way, I stream there. That's what I can say.
Alright. You know that I'm planning on getting into Doom Eternal later this year.
Well, yeah, you should. I mean, I haven't talked about the game for this backlog episode, but all I can say is that it's good.
Yeah. I need to check that out later. Because I played that Doom 2016 last year and I had fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doom 2016 pretty much got me into Doom.
Yeah, same. You know, I played the classic Doom like ages ago, back when I was a kid, but that's about it. You know, I've never beaten it. Like I played 1 or 2 levels, but that's about it. But yeah, Doom 2016 is definitely the game that got me hardcore into Doom. You know, I might check the classics one day, alongside the Doom 64.
Yeah, Doom 64 is definitely pretty interesting.
Maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I'll make sure to have beaten the game until I'll eventually come to your show next time.
We'll see. And as for me, well, you can find me on YouTube here also at SerialK 86. And on Twitter, you can also find me there at SerialK86. I'm super active there. Don't be afraid to follow me there. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Let us know if you want to see more of this podcast, if you want to see more episodes of this podcast, if you're interested, or if you want to be a guest or something like that. We'll see. So I guess that's about it. Maybe talk to you later with another guest or something. We'll see. Because there's no consistent schedule for this podcast. I record or get someone whenever I feel like it. But we'll see. Let us. What do you think? What do you think about this podcast? Well, what do you like? If there's anything to improve or something like that, let us know in the comments down below. And yeah, until next time. This is me, SerialK, and my co-host, my guest, DarkSparkish, because we don't have a co-host, only guests. Who knows? Maybe we'll get one in the future. So, yeah, until next time, wash your hands, stay at home, and, yeah, we'll talk to you next time. Until then, later. Talk to you guys. Later.
See ya.
Bye.